Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 110 review, the tier 8 Chinese heavy tank. So comparing this to an IS-3 for obvious reasons. There's a lot of questions. Do you prefer this or the IS-3? I think in random games I prefer this, but in tank combinations, that sort of thing, you probably are better off in an IS-3. So let's look into the armor profile, and the armor profile is why really this tank, in my opinion, is better than the IS-3. So in random games, this armor is gonna suit and serve you well better than the IS-3. So as you can see, the upper plate is pretty damn good. 250, 240. It's 120, it's sloped really well. As you can see, the spike nose is crazy on this. And then you have the shoulder plates, which on IS-3 are kind of spaced, at least some parts of it. On this tank, they are not. They're kind of weaker than the rest of the tank, but still better than average. And lower plate, 110, but it's sloped again. If you have 200 penetration, you should be able to pen this easily, but with 175 you need to be below this lower plate to pen it. It's pretty big though, so it shouldn't be that hard to hit. The turret, the gun mantlet is really good. It's spaced and it's really thick. Turret itself is also pretty damn good. You can't really find weak values here. And then you have the turret top, which is a problem with most of these things. So the roof is 40. If this part gets hit, as long as it's not very big, but if it gets hit, it's gonna get penetrated, and you're gonna have like a penetration mark for the entire roof. Other things that happen is that shots bounce off like these parts and go into the cupolas. That's also annoying. Cupola itself is really weak, 100 armor. Nothing really to talk about here. You really need to move a lot to deny your enemies shots on that. Let's compare that to real quick to an IS-3 armor. So hull on the IS-3 is like paper compared to the 110, 170, 160, maybe some parts to up to 200. It doesn't have any lower plate weak spots. The lower plate is better than the upper plate, so that is something to note. The turret roof is the same thing. It's not a very big target, but most of the tanks are higher than the IS-3, so they can shoot down on this, which makes the IS-3's turret kind of blur out. But as well, you kind of have to use all the gun depression you have in the IS-3 to deny your enemy shots at that roof weak spot. Other than that, the turret is really good again. Gun mantlet really strong, and turret front really strong as well. Back to 110 though. You can see it's a bit higher profile. Side armor 90 on the top, 60 on the bottom. There's some spaced armor here as well, so that it gets going for it. Comparing the soft stats, it gets a 100mm gun that has worse soft stats than the IS-3's 122 derp gun, which is kind of funny, but then again, Russia. In Soviet Russia, we make IS-3 very strong, yes? But this is really weird, and the values are quite... The difference here is quite huge, actually, but whatever. Let's not even look into that. Power to weight, 11.49, really bad compared to the IS-4, 3 almost like 30% worse. Well, not really 30, like 25, something like that. What else there is to say? Terrain resistance is about the same as on the IS-3, which is alright. On the medium terrain it's better, on soft terrain it's worse. So do not drive into the fucking swamp and you should be fine. But yeah, that's everything there is to say about this tank and its armor. Let's get into the replay. So here we go, Cabrera tier 10 game, not the classical I'll stump noobs at tier 8 in tier 8 tank replay, but the 110 can perform really well in tier 10 as well as tier 8 games. Let's read out the stats before the game starts properly. So comparing it to an IS-3, so has 50 more hit points, 1550, 40 km top speed forwards, 15 backwards, a bit better than on the IS-3, which gets only 38 forwards, but backwards is the same. Engine really bad, 580 horsepower compared to an IS-3 700 horsepower, which makes it really not that well accelerating climbing hills, but traverse is the same, 30 degrees per second. View range 380, much better than on the IS-3, which is why you can mount optics on this and it should serve you well. Turret traverse 26 degrees, same as on the IS-3. The gun is 100mm, so 320 alpha, 215 penetration, stock DPM 1920, which is much better than on the IS-3. So this tank gets quite high DPM for a tier 8 heavy tank. Accuracy on the gun 0.38 meters, while the IS-3 gets 0.4. And aim time is 2.9 seconds, while IS-3 gets 3.4. Elevation arc -6 gun depression, which is actually better than on the IS-3, so who would have thought Chinese tank has better gun depression than Russian, while the elevation is complete trash at +15. To sum it up, this tank is, in my opinion, really similar to the 113 that's at tier 10. It gets a gun that has just below average penetration, with a decent accuracy, decent aiming time, and decently high DPM, which is really similar as on the 113. The armor on this, the front of the tank is reasonably good if you don't like. On this tank you can't angle, while you're on the 113 you can, but even on then, like in the 113 you can angle only so much. And the turret as well, the front is really good, but the cupolas are weak. You need to move a lot to deny the enemies easy shots on your cupolas. So equipment I would use on this tank would be rammer, bird stabs, and coated optics. Probably 380 view range is really nice with coated optics. You can go, you can easily go bird stab, ventilation over coated optics as well. And crew skill wise, the obvious Sixth Sense, repairs, smooth ride, snapshot is always good for any tank, and for this as well. Recon, situational awareness, the good skills. So brave rule the world. I am going to push on this flank behind this rock and see where that leads me. We're stuck in quite a bit of stalemate now, and I need to push the tempo up of the game. Since I'm a tier 8, I can afford to take risks that I shouldn't be taking in higher tier tanks, and shouldn't try to throw the game. But when I'm driving tank like this, I can't really throw the game by playing aggressively. I can only make it faster and speed up the pace. My position here is really good against that E4, and he's gonna be cheeky. He's gonna be like, oh, that's a little tier 8, I'm gonna shoot that. But the 110 can like wreck people's day when you underestimate it. It has really high DPM, it has decent penetration, and it can track E4s all day, and high roll to kill them as well. So that guy got wrecked. Let's move forwards and see what else we can spot. Don't want to sit in that spot because Artie is gonna zero in on me sooner or later. Since I'm the bottom tier, he's going to be trying to focus me because reasons. Trying to spot any of the campers that could be in front of me. It seems that there is... oh no, there we go. I was about to say it seems that there is none, but here we go. ISU, camp a bush, yes. Plant one right into the face of it, and like... it's hard to say. Would I prefer, like, I think I like to play the 110 more because it's more hipster than the IS-3, but they both are really similar in how good they are, so I wouldn't like be really strict about saying that one of these tanks is better. I feel that this tank is a bit better at random games though, just because it has the better front plate, and the gun is a bit more reliable at ranges and not only close range brawling, but most maps these days have really easy close range brawl spots. Anyways, so the IS-7 just missed me, the E3 just fired, so I can reload and shoot the IS-3. I do that, and now let's try to retreat. The E3 seems to be unhappy about me shooting him, so I am going to try to fuck off now. We'll see how that works for me, and bounce some little shit, but wasn't the E3, so I'm still a bit cautious here, and I don't want to take shots here from the E3. I could bounce him, but I don't want to take that risk at all. Like, they can see only my cupolas here now, so I have the time to just do whatever the fuck I want. The T-34 is shooting the E3. The E3 just fired and missed me completely. I'm gonna shoot the IS-3 because that's my easiest target. He shoots me with HE and does 64 damage and kills my driver. Gonna peek out again and shoot him again because my reload is much faster than his. And planting 600 damage. And the E3 just bounced me. Planting 600 damage into an IS-3 while he reloads, and he misses me again. Now I just finished off with a shot in the hull. And it's kind of funny, the only guy that's supporting me at the moment is that T-34 that is sniping that E3 every like 20 seconds or something. Everybody else in the team is camping and not doing shit, which is kind of funny. Just peeking that E3 and he bounces again, and now I'm gonna shoot the IS-7 because it's an easier target than the E3. Could have loaded HE I guess to kill the E3, but even that wouldn't be that reliable. Pen the cupola of the IS-7 and he gets wrecked as well. Now the already left. Snipe him once. As I said, the accuracy on this is much better than the IS-3, and 2.9 second aiming time isn't 3.4. Who would have thought? And it actually means that you can take reasonably quick shots and you don't have to sit there and aim for that much. But yeah, really, this tank is kind of like a mix. At tier 8 it's a mix between an IS-3 and the Tiger II. It gets would say the better qualities of both of them, but it would be a bit harsh. I mean, the tank is good. It's not like superb. It's not like overpowered or anything. But I like the way it works. It has high DPM. As I said, it's kind of similar to the 113, and I really like the 113. High DPM, mediocre pen, mediocre gun, you could say, but high DPM with trollish or reasonably good front armor, and that's kind of the same as on the 113. The mobility could have been a bit better, but then again, it would probably be OP as all hell if it was faster. And that's where the 113 comes in, and that's why I really like the 113. It's really similar to this, only it goes faster. And it's a tier 10, obviously. And that's game for me. I'm never gonna reach that last guy, but as you can see, aggressive play against tier 10s can pay off when your turret is as good as this one. And I should get some spawning damage, even though my team didn't really support me that much. It was mostly myself doing damage, and that one T-34 shooting that E3. Here are the end plates. 2,346 experience with premium count, no doubles. Ace tanker, duh. 2,758 damage done, 3,342 assisted. Pretty decent game. Tier 10 damage and spotting higher tier 10 targets obviously counts for way more, so not that much damage done, but experience peaks for itself. Almost 1,600, well, not almost 1,600, 1,564 base experience, which is quite alright. So aggressive play that got backed up by the third armor on this tank, bouncing the E3 shots like nothing. It's a really good tank, I really like it, and yeah, aggressive play really paid off this time. You can play aggressive, but don't mix aggressive with stupid, and try to avoid making dumb decisions and stupid plays, and being way too aggressive, because that is stupid, and you should do that. But I hope you guys enjoy this review, and I will see you on the next one.